fly or you have to fly, there's some things that you can do. And I have that sort of outlined on the next slide, Jillian. You know, if you must fly, the obvious things like face masks, wipes, you know, there's a lot of research that says, you know, those open air vents that we always get on an airplane and we turn off, those keep the air circulating. So that's actually a really good thing. It's interesting because someone said, put your ID and anything that's going to be touched by TSA, your phone, keep it in a Ziploc bag because that you keep touching. So all these little things end up minimizing that cumulative risk. And I've always been an aisle seat girl. I don't like to be hemmed into a window seat, but the research shows that the fewer people that are going down the aisle and you're coming in contact with, the better off you are. So despite the feeling of claustrophobia, you're actually better off in a window seat. So Jillian, I don't know, are you a window or an aisle girl?
I am an aisle girl. So
yeah.
I'm not planning on flying anytime soon, but I am not a window girl.
I might even be an aisle girl with a mask and a shield just so I can stay in my aisle, but it's just something to think about. And then, you know, just if you can fly nonstop, if you have to fly, do it. Although if it's a long flight, they say take 2 different flights because you can get off the plane. But once again, I'm a nonstop. If I have to fly for some reason right now, I wouldn't want to get off a plane and do the whole process again. So, and obviously don't, you know, you have to bring your own food and drink, and you have to just be vigilant about taking, you know, you have to be your own best advocate. You have to look out for yourself. So I'm not saying, and it's interesting, I'm not saying don't travel and don't fly, but if you don't absolutely have to, wait and let's see how this all plays out. But I can't wait to be the girl that's traveling again. So I get that people, you know, you might have reasons for wanting and needing to do that. So
Next.
Yes, next, thank you. Oh, okay, so this is sort of what we were talking about a little bit, but I've talked to people, and when they've asked me about whether they should travel, and once again I said if you don't have to, but maybe you look at it differently and you say, okay, we're going to save this year, we're going to put, you know, literally a coffee can or an account, and we're going to save up for that dream trip, and we're going to wait. And I think there's a lot of wisdom in that, because even if you could go, let's say you could go to Africa right now, are you going to enjoy it? Are you going to be stressed out? Are you, and you know, what's it going to feel like? So maybe it's just the time to save up your money and take the big dream trip when it's all good and when it feels right, and do it later. So that's kind of my recommendation. And I think if you work with somebody that helps you plan where the best places to go, I've got some resources that I'll show you, but one of the things that is really interesting is that all the hotels now are coming up with tons of different innovations, so that if and when you decide to travel and go to a hotel, they've changed. It's happening right now, like Marriott, there's going to be no more common areas where, you know, we used to all go and hang out in the hotel lobby and congregate. That's going to be gone. They're going to put safety amenities, like you're going to go into your room, there'll be masks and sanitizer and wipes, and you know, they're getting rid of buffets. They're putting in something called electrostatic sprayers, so that there's always, you know, a cleaning based, you know, some kind of cleaning product going through. They're putting up the UV ray lights because there's evidence that minimizes risk. And they're, you know, when you come in, they'll sanitize your luggage. So they're already changing. And I think that's one of the things. Do your research and find out, is this hotel or is the place that I'm going taking some of these precautions? And these are going to be permanent changes. This is not a temporary thing. So, you know, whether you're going to an Airbnb or a campsite or you're getting an RV, you need to know that they're doing these things, and then you need to do them too. So even though they've done all the sanitizing, we're going to be all those crazy people that have their wipes. And the funny thing is, I've done this for a long time, and now it's no longer crazy. It's just smart, because you're taking care of yourself. And I know you've probably done that too, Jillian, where we get on the plane or we go in a bus and we wipe our things and everybody thinks we're so silly. But now people are going to say, hey, can I borrow that? Can I do that? So I think it's just being prepared, and just from now on, that's what it's going to look like. And the places that are going to stay in business and are going to cater to people in these ways, you know, have virtual check-in, have keys that are digital, and, you know, finding ways to keep the cost down and keep it healthy and safe. That's what's going to be attractive. And I think on the next page, I've got some of the resources. Oh, one of the things I'm most excited about, because I don't know if everybody's a AAA member, but if you have let your membership lapse and you haven't driven in a while, go back to AAA, because they have this incredible interactive map, which I'll show you in a minute. And it outlines where COVID is, where it's which states it's growing, safe resources in the state, and it goes state by state, and it's really cool. And then they have all these planning resources so that you can find good rest stops. So that good old AAA triptych that we used to all print out, there's the new digital version of that, and it is awesome. The CDC is always a good place to go. You can look up, once we do some international travel, it'll tell you which countries are safe to go to, if there's travel advisories in those states. The next one is, I've got something on my, the travel state gov. If and when we do travel internationally, again, they've got a thing called the STEP program that you should enroll in. It's called the Safe Traveler Enrollment Program. And if you're in another country and there's an outbreak, you're already registered with the embassy, and they know you're in country, and you'll be the first to get services and to get connected and get out of that country. So that's just a great, anytime you're going somewhere. And then these other three, Travelistic, Zoom and Go, and Compulsive Traveler, these have been my big friends while I've had my wings clipped since COVID. You can go into these, and they're interactive sites, and you can literally travel. So, and learn about a country. So if you wanted to go to India tomorrow, you could go to Zoom and Go or Travelistic, and they each have a little different bent. And I love Compulsive Traveler because that's kind of my identity. But they're just fun, and you can spend a rainy day just dreaming and going. And that's another way to adventure and plan your next adventure, so that you can see everything and learn everything you ever wanted to know about a place through. And those are my three favorites. There's a bunch of them, and I've spent more time than you would want to know on them, but it's really fun. So I love that. And I would keep these all in a little travel file on your phone, so that if you're planning. And Jillian, go to the next slide, and I'll show you the interactive map from, oh, and I see that question, any ways to adventure at home virtually, and those are the three sites. But this is what the AAA interactive map. So this is a slide, so obviously it's not interactive right now, but it shows you what state parks are open and where the rise in COVID is happening and what's reopening and what requirements you have. So it's a great resource. And then once you go into AAA, you'll see that they have all sorts of travel resources as well. So I think, because I think a lot of us are going to drive now more than maybe we did in the past. And, you know, one thing I want to say about that is I just did a road trip with my son, and I had gotten to a point where I was flying a lot because it just got less expensive and easier. And there's something fun about a road trip, you know, except for I'm a little older now, my body's sore at the end of the drive. But I think, you know, there's all sorts of places you can go 2-3 hours from the DC area. And there's so many fun places that maybe you've never gone before. So, you know, you could either look at it as a great gift to be with your family, or you could want to kill them by the end, one or the other, depending. But or both. But we had a really fun time. So I think it's going to be, and right now traffic's not too bad, and there's a lot of places I haven't been in our great country. So that's kind of a really fun way to look at it. But going to the next slide, when I'm traveling, I think this is just a really important thing. Travel is going to be different for a long time. And I think you have to be patient. Once again, I think it's the words of wisdom for almost any situation, right, Jillian? Patience with ourselves, with others, and with circumstances, because they're very beyond our control. So if you do fly and it's not going well in the airport, don't freak out, and just understand that we're all trying to be good and kind to each other, and that travel is important, but we've got to understand that the circumstances are different. So I'm happy to take any questions right now, and anything that you guys want to know, or if there's anything I can help you with, I'm happy to do that. So
oh, sorry, didn't mean to go there. I have a question, Bridget. I find really interesting. I'm going to go back to this. I don't know if anybody else, but this is so interesting to me because I love on the side here where it says there are no travel restrictions, there's reopening with restrictions, and there's reopening with mask requirements.
Yes.
And I think it's a really good thing to know, especially if it's really hard for you to wear a mask all the time.
Yes.
That's something that you may not want to travel to that, that city or state. And by the way, if you look on the East Coast, that's a lot of it, right?
Yes.
So if you are planning on traveling and actually doing some things in public, you got to be careful.
And obviously the states that are, like if you look at this, out in the Midwest and the West, where there's just a lot less populated and they've got a lot more space, there have been fewer incidents, and so they're not being affected like we are. But I still think, we could debate this all day, but I still think a mask, even if it's not required at this point, is a good thing. But yes, if a mask is a difficult thing, then it's a really smart thing to look at. But yeah.
Guys, is everybody okay if I stop sharing the screen for a minute and then we could do a Q&A with Bridget? Is that cool, everybody? Before we do, though, I just want to go to our last slide because that's where I would have ended this on, or she would have ended. And
Yes.
This is where we're going to go next week, which is amazing. And if you don't know where it is, then surprise for you. I didn't know. I had to look it up. So super exciting and fun. But I'm going to stop sharing so that maybe Bridget can see some of you guys. I don't know if she could see you before.
I know, it's so nice to see everybody.
So I figured you want to see who was on the call. And if anybody wants to introduce themselves and ask a question, that would be wonderful. And I think Robert has a question. Hold on, Robert. Let me see if I can find your question because I wasn't on the Zoom for a while. I wasn't on the chat for a while. So somebody, if you guys have a question, please ask. Robert, do you want to ask yours in there, in the chat? To me, you can ask me and then I'll ask her if you want. And anybody else have a question?
Hi, I see.
Siji, do you want to ask your question? Hi.
Is because last year I went to the national park to the Grand Canyon with my family, but it's just that it's just the reason why is just because national park is some of the greatest place you go to, but it's just that my major concern is when a national park is reopening, are they trying to do any types of social distancing or something like that? It's because when they reopen, there may not be many people, but as I mentioned, Jillian, she told me that they're probably that means national park contains too many visitors, that causing them to shut down everything. It's just, I know the rest of the area has some restriction, which I know, but my question is about this is for national park, because that's the place my family, I would really like to go, because, we were supposed to go to the Yellowstone, but we had to cancel since pandemic.
Yeah. So Bridget, did you get that? I don't know, maybe, did Bridget get knocked off? Uh-oh.
Where'd Bridget go?
She's gone.
Bridget's probably having a heart attack. Oh my God, poor thing. Well, I don't know the answer to that. I wish I could answer, and I don't know if she would have either. So maybe, does anybody else, I don't know, have a question? Anybody else? Couldn't see, oh, Debbie couldn't see the final slide. Where are we going next week? Okay, I am gonna show you real fast that final slide because we're probably gonna end this early. Bridget can't get back on. And this is the final slide. Does anybody know where a Havasupai is?
I do.
Don does. Hold on, I'm gonna unshare it. Stop there. Does anybody else know where Havasupai is?
Nope.
Don, will you share with everybody where
That is in Havasupai is in the Grand Canyon.
Yep.
I was there actually.
How was
I did the years ago, did the raft ride down the Grand Canyon, and you have to hike. It's like a 2-hour hike up to Havasupai Falls. And then you swim in the water.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, there's further downstream. There's this really crazy. I don't know if it's still there, but there was this underwater pipe, and if you lay down in the water in one part, it would suck you under, and you would go through this pipe and pop out the other end.
Okay, that sounds terrifying to me. Like terrifying.
Yeah.
Was
It
it
was
fun?
the thing, you people were, they tell you where to lay, and then whoosh, and up you came.
Oh my gosh! Wow, that's yeah, that's cool. How about anybody else had any experiences like that were like traveling a little scary or a little, something to share, something fun?
I do have a little something. It
Tell us.
was 2 Decembers ago. I was in an Israel trip. And I still remember this fresh as if it was almost yesterday. But there was this one point when I was on an elevator at the hotel that we were at in Israel. And somehow this was around the same time I was learning about Shabbat elevators.
Oh boy.
And what I did not know is that when they're on that mode, they're supposed to open up automatically when you're going to certain floors. And somehow at some point it decided to get stuck between floors. And I was like, oh no, I'm stuck.
And she was by herself in the elevator. And I got a call at 2:30 in the morning, our time. Mom, I'm stuck in the elevator in Israel.
Oh my gosh, you poor thing.
So,
But she lived to tell the tale.
yeah, whatever you do, check your elevator if you're going on a faraway type of trip, because you never know if they're going to have a particular mode on.
Yes, I hear you. I totally hear you. So you guys, I'm going to tell you a quick elevator story too. Okay. Just because Bridget got knocked off. She's our travel lady. So she's freaking out, by the way. She's texting me, but I'm like, don't worry. We're fine. We'll save some of our questions till next week. Shit happens. We're all adults. We can deal with it. So I was with a bunch of girlfriends in New York City for the night. I did not plan the trip. I was really busy like in life. And one of my friends said, I'll plan it, take care of it. So she booked our room. And so I was staying with her in the room, and we went to, and it was in New York City, and I don't know the city very well. I never know where I am. I get really confused. So I in the morning I wake up and, we're doing some emails or whatever. And I say to her, I'm going to go down and get some coffee for us. And she said, great. So I get in the elevator and I go down to the ground floor and the door doesn't open. But Heather, so I can hear you loud and clear, girlfriend. Not good. So I am dying because I already have like a fear of being enclosed in spaces, along with many other fears that I'm working on with therapy. But I have it. And so I pick up the phone in the elevator and I say, oh, there's Bridget. Hi. So I'm telling them we started with some elevator stories. Heather had one from in Israel. I'm telling her when I was in New York, and I was in an elevator. I went down to the ground floor and it didn't open. So I pick up the phone in the elevator and it calls 911. I had no idea. Did you guys know? I thought it just called like the elevator, the front desk at the hotel. So Robert, I know you're cracking up. So they call 911. They say, 911, what's your emergency? And I said, well, it's not really an emergency, but I'm stuck in an elevator. And they said, well, where are you located? And I said, I have no idea. I don't even know the hotel I'm staying at. I don't know the name. I don't know. And those of you who know me know when I don't pay attention, I really don't pay attention. And so they said, okay, well, we'll find out your location, which they did, and we'll send somebody over. So a couple minutes later, somebody comes banging on the door and they said, hi, what's your name? And I could hear them and they could hear me through the door. And I said, I'm Jillian and I'm starting to freak out. I'm starting to lose it. I had my pajamas on, by the way, okay? I had no shoes and no socks and no phone, no nothing to do, which is also another fear of mine of being bored. Anyhow, they opened the door within a couple minutes and I only had like a slight panic attack. And I walked up and down in the hotel for the rest of the time and I was 16 floors up. And
Oh my God.
So Heather, I am with you the whole way. So I'm gonna pass it on to Bridget. Bridget, what was your question to Bridget before we got cut off? And then we have time for maybe one or two more questions.
Oh,
Yeah. Bridget, I was gonna ask you about like the national park because that's the place where I went to with my family a year ago. But the thing is that like when the national park suddenly reopens, it just maintains distance. It's just because sometimes I'm just concerned about the case when we travel together. It's just that national park is a good place for me to go, but it's just that like when they try to close down, it's just because there's too many visitors. What's the issue?
Yeah, so it's a really good question. And a lot of people have been asking me about the national parks because on the one hand, it makes so much sense to think, oh, I should go to the national parks and there's a lot of space and we can be outside and we can hike. On the other hand, everybody's thinking the same thing. So the national parks, I think you have to go case by case, like the Grand Canyon right now, which is where you went and loved and is such an amazing place to go. Not so good right now because they really don't, the social distancing is going to have to be your responsibility and you can take care of yourself, but what about the other people who don't feel that same sense and they can drive and get there easily and they might not care as much as you do. And I think until they do have some really good ways to be on top of the national parks and social distancing, there'll be a time where you can go again, but I would hold off. And you should go on the internet if there is a national park, Zion, Moab, there's so many beautiful places to go. I would do your due diligence and look at that AAA, go into their site and also go onto the national park website and really investigate and even look at some news sources because it's changing a lot. And I'm not saying don't go, but make sure you're very well aware. And some of them haven't reopened yet. So you have to make sure it's open. And I would say, even though it seems like such a great idea, wait and you'll enjoy it more when you feel a little more comfortable that it's a little safer.
Yeah.
And it's
Right,
so
that's
hard
true.
because I agree with you. It's one of the most amazing resources we have in this country. Some of the state parks have opened up around our area and even our local resources, some of the hiking trails and some of the places are great to go to and you can social distance. And I would always say even in the state parks, if you're outside, it seems like you don't have to, but wear a mask. It's hard, but if you can, I would wear a mask for now. Sorry, guys.
Thank you for that. I think that's important to keep us all safe.
Yeah.
Let's do, before we do one more question, you guys, and then of course we have to take a picture because when you're on the line with me, we're always taking a picture. So before we maybe have time for one or two more questions, I'm gonna launch our poll. So if you don't mind, let's see, hold on. Nope, it's not coming up. That's interesting.
Hey, does anybody know what Jillian's background is, by the way? We could give a little prize for the first person to identify what is in her
San
background.
Francisco.
Yeah, ding, ding, ding. Good job. It's a beautiful place to visit.
Thank you. That was fun. This was not the poll that was supposed to go out, but why don't you fill it out while you're there? So if you can see it, fill it out. I didn't have an option to do another one. I'm not sure why this came on this way, but this is really to evaluate a series when the series is kind of at the end. Usually you see the poll that says good, great, that kind of thing. But you know what? If you don't mind, fill it out. See what you think. We do want to give Bridget more time to show us her expertise, but let's start with here. And it's okay because I'm seeing a lot of greats and goods anyway, and that's what I like to see. Also, you guys, yes, and in the feedback, you know, in the chat, I put some feedback link. If you guys want to do, you know, if you want to send us any feedback or have any suggestions about how we can improve other than the technology, we're going to work on that, which we always do, and I appreciate it. Sorry, that's me. So always appreciate it. And so I'm going to give you like a couple more seconds, and then is everybody done? Just give me like a thumbs up if you already did the poll. Great, appreciate it. Okay, thank you. And then we're going to do like one picture. Thank you, David, for your thumbs up. I like that. So one picture, and it's really for Bridget because we like to give everybody who's presenting a picture of us so that she can remember who's on the line, so she can kind of know us for next time too. So if you're in it, I don't know, do some fun, peace out. How about we do peace today? Everybody want to do a peace sign? All right. Is everybody frozen? Are you there? Are people there? 1,
Yep.
2, 3. Awesome. I gotcha. And any other questions for Bridget? Because we have a couple more minutes since we are running a little late. So David, go ahead.
So when my sister is traveling right now, she recommends to have a dictionary to learn the language of the country. Are you also have a dictionary with you to learn the language of the country?
That's so funny you said that. I always, before I leave and go somewhere, I know that there's some great high-tech ways to do it, but I print out, there's these little sheets that you can do like the top 25 words to learn in a country, and I have my little cheat sheet. And so I just learn, you know, if I don't know any of the language, I have like, hello, goodbye, thank you, where's the bathroom? How do I, you know, how do I get somewhere? And I've been meaning to, and then there's a translator on your phone. So if I'm stuck with somebody, you know, there's that way they can speak into your phone and it'll translate. So I use that a lot. And I think it's a great question, David, because I don't know different languages, but I find it very respectful and a good thing to, when you're in another country, to at least try to speak and at least have the basics. So I think it's really smart to travel with a dictionary or some kind of resource that gives you those.
Thank
You
you.
might be able to have those resources on your phone, David, too. Like you can look up stuff on your phone, translations and stuff too,
Yeah.
which is really cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Maybe one final question for Bridget?
Not a question, but a comment. A friend of mine took her children, I think it was last week, to one of the local zoos, but she went during the week, so it was less crowded, and she said there wasn't a problem with, you know, too many people crowding around.
Yeah, and see, that's a great way to do something local and just change it up, because I think that's what we're really looking for right now. Hey guys, I know that this was sort of a serious, we're all trying to get away from the whole COVID discussion too, but I felt it was important in terms of travel just to have this basic. And the idea that Jillian and I talked about from now on is we're going to adventure in some places, really neat places that I've gone, and it'll be, I think, a little more light, but I thought we can't start off a discussion of travel and adventure without acknowledging what's happening in our world. But if there's some, you know, I'm really excited to do this for the next 4 weeks with you, and I really appreciate your time. And next week we'll be a little more lighthearted and go on a great adventure. So thank you so much. Yeah, we'll do this. So, Jillian, you're muted. Jillian, you're muted.
Sorry, so sorry. Bridget, love you. Thank you for your
Thank you,
time,
guys.
energy, and your expertise. And big virtual hugs to everybody. And just a reminder, fun things coming up. Bake with Sharon tomorrow. Marianne's Culture Series tomorrow. Marianne, give them a little teaser, a quick teaser for us.
I have children's book author Jennifer O'Connell doing an illustration, how to build your stories from a drawing.
That sounds amazing. Amazing. I mean, even for me, I can't draw. So thank you. I can't wait to see you guys, future events. And
Nice to meet you guys.
I
Take
hope
care.
I can go. I hope my job coach lets me go. Lets me come.
well,
Yeah.
Jonathan, tell your job coach you want to come, and then you can come. So that's your job. Be a self-advocate. You know how to do that, right?
No, it's Seek.
Oh, okay. Well, tell them that this is what you want to do, unless you're working or something, unless you have another obligation. Hopefully you can join us. If not, everything is recorded. So that's why we're recording all these. So if you miss them and you want to watch something, let us know. You should get the recordings after, maybe not all the sessions, but after a lot. They're all recorded. Again, people on the move with Kim. I know Eileen and Heather did that. You guys should have got the recording for that so you can work out without her. That's part of the beauty, but we have everything archived for you. So if you miss it, Jonathan, let us know. We'll send it to you, okay? Big virtual hugs, everybody. Thank you for your patience earlier with our technical
Thank you. Sorry.
Can you send us that list of resources, the sites, the Zoom and Go and those other ones?
You're going to get them all in like 15 minutes.
Wherever you are, John Bogoski, that background I want to be.
Exactly.
Yeah,
It's Royal Caribbean's private island. This is one of the.
Oh, nice.
good. Let's go.
I've never been there, but I thought it was an awesome Zoom background.
I like
Green and
the private
steam.
part. So there's no COVID there. That's the good news.
Exactly.
Because you got to take a cruise ship to get there. So.
Well,
Not good. Not good. Take care, everybody. Big hugs. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Joey.